Hey, hi, how you doing? It's good to see you. For the past few months, I've been working on a filmography of my first full year as a wannabe filmmaker. Originally, I tried doing it in a series of YouTube shorts, since it seemed like a really good format at the time. But as I kept working on it, I realized something. 60 seconds is not enough time to say everything I wanted to about my past projects. While the fun facts were fun to talk about, I really wanted to gush about their stories, the music choices, the inspirations, all the lovely people who helped me bring these projects to life. I think you get it at this point. So without wasting any more time, let's take a look at my year one filmography. Fun fact, the idea for my first film came to me in late 2020, almost 2 years before I actually even made it. I knew SightSeeing was never going to go viral. I didn't even think it would land well with my friends. So why did I make it then? Well, I don't really know, to be honest. It just felt like it was time to put something to pen and paper instead of letting it float around in my head for any longer. During quarantine, I found myself returning to the analog horror community, which was experiencing a resurgence of sorts. With a lot more downtime than usual, thank you COVID, I became much more invested in the stories being told. After engulfing myself in a lot of new compelling stories for almost 6 months, the idea for SightSeeing was born. At the time, it was never something I was going to actually create. It was more of a love letter to a genre that helped me get through quarantine with my own little attempt at a story. The premise was simple. Travel guide turned murder story. All with my attempt at the stylings, tones, and storytelling inspired by what I saw throughout the genre at the time. Flash forward to 2022, and now I'm bringing this story to life with one of my best friends. To think that it all started with my phone, $20, and a dream is surreal. We spent 2 months putting it all together. From the script, to getting all the props and costumes together, to filming our live action footage, to making digital footage with Google Slides, and finally editing the entire project in iMovie. When it premiered at my high school film festival, I was a nervous wreck. It's genuinely horrifying to put yourself into a project that all of your friends are going to see on a big screen. And I was honestly terrified at what they'd think of it, considering that this was my life for the past 2 months. The fact that it went on to win an award at the VHSL State Film Festival is still a miracle in my eyes. I truly never thought it would amount to anything, never go anywhere, that no one would really like it. Heck, I don't even like it very much. SightSeeing was a dark story that came from a dark place, a story of unseen and unheard isolation going unnoticed until it's too late. I could never imagine the amount of good that came out of it for me. I got to spend a lot of time with and get to know the friends that really matter to me, that wanted to see this part of me that others didn't really see, a part that I now wanted them to see. I learned so much about filmmaking at the same time, things that would go on to define all of my future approaches to storytelling. It was fun. I loved working on it. It felt like I found my calling. It all made me so excited for what might come next. After SightSeeing, it only felt natural to try and make a video when the opportunity arose. Specifically, school projects. This section will be dedicated to 3 specific projects that were made between SightSeeing and my next film festival project: Fifth Amendment, geothermal energy, and political violence. Fifth Amendment was made for my senior year AP Gov class with my good friend Sebi. The guidelines were simple. Choose an amendment, research the required information, and make a presentation that wasn't a slideshow, and if it was a video, it had to be less than 3 minutes. To me, the answer was clear, so Sebi and I immediately started to get to work. It took us 3 days to complete the project. The first 2 days dedicated to research and writing the script. The third to shoot and edit the final product. Geothermal energy was made in my Physics 2 class senior year. The criteria this time was to research our type of energy generation and present our research in the form of an advertisement. If memory serves me right, we had about a week to do everything, and things went pretty smoothly. I was in charge of the whole video process, so I organized a script from our research and then put it all together in an advertisement. Political violence was the second video project I did with Sebi, this time with our friend Owen. This class project was specifically a video project, with each group's video tackling a different section of the chapter we were looking at. This one was completed in about 4 days, 3 researching and writing a script, the 4th for filming and editing. Besides being school projects, what do all these videos have in common? Firstly, they were really good practice for me since at that point I only had SightSeeing under my belt, which was made in iMovie on my phone. With these projects, I was able to not only improve in iMovie, I also got a chance to use other services such as CapCut, Clipchamp, and Premiere Pro. Secondly, I got to share my passion for filmmaking with more friends and classmates. If there's anything I've learned through this entire journey, getting to share this passion with others is about as fulfilling as watching the final product. Through projects like these, I not only improved a lot in the technical aspects, I was also able to understand parts of why I truly love doing all of this. At this point in the timeline, I was a little over halfway through the production on my senior film festival project, Spiritual. While I was having an amazing time with it, it was months of work on the same project. I was afraid I'd start losing steam and find working on it stale. So, why not a quick mini project to refresh my passion? It just came down to what I could make that wouldn't take too much time away from the main dish, while still feeling creatively refreshing for me. Then it hit me. How about a monologue for my favorite web series? One of the bigger inspirations of Spiritual is a web series called Lucids, made by actor-musician Nicholas Podeny. However, a quick blurb from me in a filmography cannot do this series justice, so I highly recommend you check it out for yourself. I promise, you will not regret it. Anyways, how did I use it as inspiration? Well, I used the series directly and indirectly. So when I say directly, I named one of the main characters of Spiritual after one of the main characters of the series, Jasper. Also, the final track of Spiritual was a piece Podeny composed himself for Lucids titled The Wandering Boys Reprise. And when I say indirectly, I mean it influenced how I wrote the world, the characters, and the character moments within the story. So as you can tell, Lucids was very influential to me when I was writing Spiritual. With that in mind, it only made sense to me to make my refresher project as sort of an appreciation letter to the series that fueled my creative flames. I chose to do the major monologue in Lucids Part 5 by the character Oliver, and the visuals were of apples and nature, as apples hold a lot of significance in the series. Overall, it was a pretty simple in concept. It was a lot of cinematography of apples placed all over a trail and a monologue. Despite this being a refresher from my main project, it meant a lot to me. I was able to practice my cinematography skills, make a thank you project to one of my creative inspirations, spend time with an amazing friend, and just have a lot of fun with a smaller project. What more could I ask for in a refreshment? How do I even begin to talk about what Spiritual meant to me? Well, to start, it's my senior year film festival project. Funnily enough, it was born from an idea to do a sequel to SightSeeing. But in the context of high school film festivals, sequels to previous projects aren't usually the best ones to pursue. But I just couldn't let go of this idea though. I had already fallen in love with its potential. The original version of Spiritual was another analog horror film set in the same world as SightSeeing. It would have followed a group of policemen via the rookie's body cam investigating a murder, up until they discover that the culprit was an entity in the same vein as the killer from Spiritual and is still at the scene of the crime. Horror ensues. This would be intercut with a video from a YouTube channel of two teenage ghost hunters serving as our context for the investigation, helping the audience catch on before the ill-fated policeman. While I decided against the police subplot and analog horror framing, I'd already fallen head over heels for the teenage ghost hunter characters. I knew that I wanted to bring their story to life, but not without major revisions that led to the project being what it is today. When it came to pre-production, I wanted to improve upon everything I did from the last Film Fest. New hardware, new editing experience and software, new techniques, improved script writing, and a much larger cast and crew. I genuinely wanted to put everything I learned into this project. I wanted it to be the best version of the story that I could tell. Of course, I never expected pre-production to turn out like it did. Pre-production of Spiritual was one of the greatest parts of my senior year. I loved writing the script and getting to spend time with these characters in their world. Every single musician I reached out to gave me their blessing and well wishes to use their music, which absolutely made me ecstatic. And when it came down to casting and building a crew, I honestly didn't think anyone would give it a chance. Yet to my complete surprise, everyone who read the script rallied around the project and put their full faith in me. In that exact moment, I knew I wasn't making this project for me. I was making it for every single person who believed in me, who gave me a shot, and in service to the characters I had fallen in love with. I needed to do them all justice. Then we all began filming, and it was an amazing time. I tried my best to create a fun set for everyone, since on most of my previous projects, I believed that the less time we're on set, the better it is for everyone involved. But I wanted to spend as much time as possible working to get things correct. So why not make being on set something to look forward to in a way? It's not my place to say everyone had a great time. I really hope they did, but I know that I'm indebted to everyone who worked on Spiritual. Without them, I would have just been an 18-year-old with a script and a dream. Spiritual would not exist without all of their hard work, so if any of you are watching, thank you so much. I believe it took 8 months to bring Spiritual from the initial idea to the final product. 4 months for pre-production, 2 for filming, and 2 for editing. and when it was all over, I felt this overwhelming sense of bittersweetness. I was overjoyed to finally show everyone the past year of my life and passion, and I was so excited to show off the incredible work my cast and crew did. It was great. But at the same time, it was over. This piece of my life finally reached its conclusion, and I was really sad seeing it go. I didn't know what to do now that it was gone. I felt empty in a way. Like the big purpose I made for myself that year was now gone. Though with this empty feeling, it helped fuel the fire for what would come next. They say to treat every project as if it's your last. That way, you'll always be able to look back and feel proud about what you accomplished. That's exactly what I did with Spiritual. Not only because I wanted to tell the story as best as I possibly could, I genuinely thought that this could be the end of my filmmaking. Thank goodness it wasn't. Despite me having already gone over school projects, this one deserves its own section. As a senior, there is an end-of-the-year school project at the STEM school I attended in the mornings. The theme of this project? Forensic science. For about 2 months, we learned about how evidence could be collected, both physically, biologically, and through deduction skills. To show what we learned, a crime was set up, and we as teams would need to solve them using the techniques we learned. The final submission consisted of 2 parts, a written report and a video fictionalizing the crime and how it was solved. The group I was in consisted of my friends Mulaney, Jack, Sarah Lynn, Cecilia, and Maria. As a group, we were all writers and came up with a story that we were all really passionate about telling. Cinematography mainly fell to Sarah Lynn and I, since we both had a very similar vision for how we wanted the video to look. Though we all got a crack at filming, since everyone had a lot of great ideas. At face value, it was a fun way to end our final year of high school at the STEM school. In reality, it was one of the biggest moments of self-expression for me and my classmates. I was extremely shy, and the thought of making bad impressions on people I wanted to be friends with horrified me. It still does. This definitely got in the way of me making a ton of friends while I was there, which is something I've come to really regret. In fact, many of the friends I had going into the STEM school didn't get to know the full me either because I was just too scared to express it. Though at the end of everything, who knew a detective story would help me find my voice? Team 12, thank you for helping to lift me up and share my passions with my peers when I couldn't alone. I'll never forget this project. After Spiritual, I didn't really know what to do next. Part of me wanted to take a break from film until summertime, but another part of me really wanted to get back into the fray. Of course, I had some stories in mind that I wanted to tell, but it was extremely tough narrowing down which stories I felt the strongest connections with. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that sometimes you won't know what comes next in life until it's at your front door. The idea for Alterbane was born when my friend Sheldon and I were driving around town with our other friends after graduation practice. We were just talking about the different stories we'd be interested in telling after our film festival projects. As we were going down the line of story structures and genres, we learned that we were both interested in a zombie apocalypse type project. Once we hit this, we hashed out what we both wanted in an apocalypse story. Funnily enough, we both felt that the apocalypse is a world or situation, not the entire story. In that moment, we knew we had a passion project on our hands. We practically spent the rest of the day out world building, looking at story direction, shaping characters, finding our inspirations, the entire works. The only thing we knew for certain was that we had a lot in store for us that summer. After a few days, we had our foundational idea in mind. Zombie apocalypse meets Guardians of the Galaxy. From this idea, we built a storyline, character personalities, and our soundtrack. Through our passion for the project, our friends were able to put their trust in us to help bring the whole thing to life. And from all of these coming together, I was able to have so many great memories of the summer before my first semester of college, ranging from the shopping trips to the on-set shenanigans. The first episode of Alterbane, Walkman, will always have a special place in my heart, as the first ever series I worked on, and as at the beginning of an amazing summer break. This all leads to the second episode of Alterbane, The Huntsmen. After Sheldon and I saw the reception for the first episode, we adjusted some aspects of the sequel. Changes mainly came from us understanding that Alterbane in itself is campy for the best, no matter how we write it. This allowed us to better tweak how we could write the scenes, play with the sound design, and understand our character moments. The best part of working on a series is that you have the chance to show constant growth. No matter how well we did on the previous episode, there's always constant improvement. When working on all of my previous projects, I was always able to grow, but due to how different they were in their own rights, it was really difficult to tell if I was making any difference or not. Alterbane helped me with this so much more than I could ever think. Along with this, the Huntsmen continue to allow me to share my passions with more of my friends. The best part of making a series is that after the first episode, our friends were able to see our vision at its beginning and wanted to help us continue it. I loved working on Huntsman simply due to the fact that I got to work with so many more of my friends, making it the largest scale project I've worked on. If there's one thing I've taken away from everything, is how much appreciation I have for my friends, as none of what I've made could have been possible without them. To my friends, thank you to everyone who made this entire journey possible. It all genuinely means the world to me, and I couldn't have imagined better friends than you. Seems like we've reached the end of memory lane, but we haven't reached the end just yet. In the spirit of the new year, why not look ahead and see what's next? You know, at first I thought this section would consist of me talking about upcoming projects like I was Kevin Feige announcing the next 3 years of Marvel movies. But to be honest, I'm still figuring things out. I definitely want to branch out content-wise while still making short films, though I kind of want to shift away from just doing short films. But still expect them to come in the future. While it's good to spend time on projects like those, I also want to develop content that won't take me a few months to complete, maybe just 2 to 3 weeks. Who knows? Maybe I'll even figure out what I can do with YouTube shorts and live streams. All I know is that this is definitely not the end. It's simply the beginning of year 2. And I hope you'll all consider joining me for it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.